So I'm really happy this morning to host Sezin Sinanoglu, who's the resident coordinator of the UN system in Tajikistan. And she joins us today from Dushanbe. And we're really happy to host you this morning, Sezin. Thank you for speaking with us at Building Peace during the pandemic. Let me start by asking you how the pandemic has affected, how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the country. And how do you see the impact of the pandemic on the country at the moment?
Tajikistan has unfortunately been just as badly as affected as any other country. Luckily, the death rates have been lower, maybe infections even lower, because the country very quickly went into lockdown. But economically, the country has been badly hit. And needless to say, that's causing a lot of stress, tensions in the society, among the people, due to the socio-economic losses. In addition to that, the country is very mountainous. There are really groups of people who are out in the middle of nowhere. Exactly. Access to basic social services, especially health services, has been hugely affected. So now what does that mean for the future of the country? Of course, this is going to be economic hardship. We're going into winter. In many ways, this country is food insecure. Nutrition has been an issue. This will have not just an impact on today. It's very likely that this will have a longer term impact on the population of the country.
And Sezin, how has that affected the UN strategy, the UN priorities, and the way the UN works in Tajikistan? Apart, of course, from the obvious, limitations of going into the office, how has the strategy of the UN shifted in Tajikistan?
Getting our own house in order was the main issue, and I have to mention that because about 1/4 maybe of our staff have become infected, some extremely seriously so. They were in intensive care, and unfortunately we have lost 2 of our dear colleagues, and that has affected morale. It has affected our operations. You never know who's there among our staff who can take on a job and carry on forward where somebody else had left off. So in terms of our own operations, it has had a very significant impact. We have conducted numerous surveys through direct phone calls to the beneficiaries, to the people, to the public, but also to our partners to try to get a full feel of what's happening. So some rapid assessments in that sense. Other than that, what we have done is the UN has been the leader in donor coordination or coordination of the development partners. So we immediately were able to put together a very effective mechanism that has continued until today to not just collect information, but also to discuss, debate, understand how different sectors were progressing. There was an immediate humanitarian response, bringing protective gear for healthcare personnel, bringing medicine into the country, trying to help the government raise money from different sources. The UN as a system, and I have to tell you, we were able to pull together. I'm quite proud as to how the UN reform is delivering in this country, but relatively quickly, the whole system was able to come together and develop an integrated socio-economic framework for the country that looks at all the key pillars that are being affected in the country, from health to education, to peace, to social cohesion.
Let me end by asking you specifically about how you see the future of social cohesion programming with neighboring countries. Tajikistan had been a pioneer in engaging with neighboring countries, in improving relations between communities, notably through improved water management. How do you see the future of those initiatives in the present context?
We are embarking on a very interesting partnership with the World Bank, with DPPA, and the whole UN system in doing a risk and resilience assessment for the Fergana Valley, which will involve exactly those countries that have had cross-border issues in how to share scarce resources, whether it's land or water, but also bringing into the picture Afghanistan. Because of their influence and impact on this region. But in addition to that, at the beginning of COVID, unfortunately, tensions all among the countries in the region became worse, simply because of border closures, and especially when food sales were banned to protect strategic food supplies in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan. But again, the UN has been able to come in with different mechanisms. But it's not just that. I did mention gender-based violence, domestic violence. Interestingly, we have a regional program on that, and that allows the countries to share experiences across borders of something that is unfortunately very common. But in that way, both understand that there are similar issues, but that there are lessons that they can learn from each other. So we are committed to cross-border efforts.
Thank you so much, Sezin, for speaking with us today, and many congratulations to you and to the colleagues on all the hard work you're doing in Tajikistan, and look forward continuing to work together.